All right, can you hear me? Hey, Cleveland, can you hear me? Hey, David, did you get my email? Welcome, welcome to both of you. Waiting for the husband to come in.
Should be love.
Says, for watching. Say something, babe. Good, good. Thank you, Cleveland. Reflect on light, y'all. That's the hubby. And now, how do I make you a moderator, hon?
Supposed to click on my name.
Click on your name. Oops, you moved.
Um,
Yay! You got your blue jacket. Yeah, David, did you get what I sent you? Did you get any mail from me? You won a couple of things on our last live. Okay, who's number 4 that's watching? Speak up or forever hold your peace.
there's about a 5 second delay, baby.
Charlie's saying there's a 5-second delay. Say something, hon. You should have a blue wrench next to your name. It's okay. Yeah, I was saying hi to you the other day and someone else's chat and you weren't responding, and I was worried that I'd ticked you off or something. Yeah, look, Reflect on Light's a moderator. He's going to try to keep up with me and post links when we get Googling. Are you all ready to get your Google on? I'm looking for OCD Chip. She sent me an email saying she'd be here, and she has very specific herbs that she wants to learn about. So I try to give her a few minutes to come in. Uh-oh. Someone's dinging me on the phone. Hold on. Oh, Mennonite Farmhouse has candied ginger and black walnut something. Oh, it's an alert that I'm live. Glad I was alerted. I'm alive. Oh, I hear that, Dave. I'm usually doing 3 or 4 things on the computer while I'm listening to lives. And then I pop in, make a comment, pop out. So now we have 5 people. Can I get 6? Who can do the uh, auction voice and encourage more people to come in? So, David, Cleveland, Charlie, what are some of the herbs that you're curious about tonight? Hi, Keith Crochet. Okay, we're 5 minutes in. How long do y'all think I should give people to show up? Cleveland, what kind of herbs are you curious about? Let's not say marijuana. Uh, oh, I've got all that going too. We've got Mizuna volunteering in the yard, David. And I'm waiting for volunteer spinach to come up because I let it go to seed in the garden over summer. You'd think it would be sprouting by now. But to be fair, it's underneath the Scotch bonnet bushes, so it might be there coming up, just hiding. Basil, that's going to be one. You know what? I am going to send a note to OCD Chick saying, hey, we're waiting on you. Heck, I didn't keep her email. Let me see. I'll be right back, guys. Oh, heck. All right, well, let's hope she shows up. Dear Corner, good evening. David, I like Mizuna. I grow two kinds, the white and the red, but I think the red is my favorite. Have you tried it? Oh, is Charlie? Is that a link to a Mizuna recipe? Okay, we will talk about turmeric. That's on the list. And Cleveland, that's what zone are you? You get really hard freezes there, right? Lavender's on the list. Okay. I want to welcome everyone. There's 6 of us here, and Cleveland, you're in South Carolina. Turmeric will overwinter if you put it in a raised bed and mulch it really heavily. Ours here in North Georgia, which is 7B8A, comes back every year and grows, blooms. The plants are almost as tall as I am, and I'm 5'4", and they're absolutely beautiful. South Carolina for Deer Corner. That's good. That's good. David, if you're wondering about what Mizuna tastes like, it's kind of spicy, kind of horseradishy. It'll add zing to sandwiches and salads if you eat it raw, but it mellows out that spice and when it's cooked. That's not to say don't cook with it as in stir fries or soups, but if you like zing in your salad, it adds it'll add some zing. Okay, my husband is going crazy with the recipes. For those of you who are just coming in, the Reflect on Light is my hubby, Charlie. He's the brains of the operation here. I'm the mouth. So, Charlie, do you think you could do some lives maybe on fermenting? Would y'all like to learn about fermenting? He's the family fermenter. Yeah, he does fermenting. He makes mead. If you saw the video about the bees, I was about to say the bees, we lost 3 of our 5 hives. They were going strong this fall. I mean, thousands of bees in the hive. And then I got looking at it and they're getting slower and slower. I didn't worry about it because at this time of year, they reduce their numbers. But then I didn't see anything for a couple of days, maybe 1 bee in or out. And the other day I said, yesterday I said, Charlie, go check these bees. They were 3 hives that were wild hives, wild swarms that we caught. And there are videos of me ringing a bell to call the swarm in that you can watch. One of them led to me being stung on the nose right here. I've got a short crying, the tears running down my cheeks with sting there. Dear Corner, you lost all of yours? Were they poisoned? Or, I mean, did you see dead bees in the bottom of the hive, or did they just kind of vanish? While they're answering, I'll talk about Charlie's going to order 2 packages, Charlie?
Nukes.
2 nukes. And he can jump in and explain what a nuke is while I'm doing my intro. So anyway, all 5 just left. Charlie, can you talk to Deer Corner and tell him why that might have happened? He had 5 absconds. So we had 3 absconds and you had 5. I'm so sorry. It's expensive to start over too. Anyway, while they're having that little conversation, yeah, Charlie says drought. The inspiration for tonight's video is I know that a lot of people right now are harvesting the herbs that they grew over the summer before it gets really cold. And I'm seeing videos pop up where people are giving advice on how to build your herbal apothecary, how to make this tincture or that tea. And what I'm not hearing a lot of people do is to look at who can have the medicinal herbs and in what form they can or cannot have it. And whereas most herbs are going to be okay for the majority of us, that's not the case with all herbs. And you know, there's hundreds and thousands of herbs out there that you can use for medical issues. But I'm going to stick with some common herbs that that all of us probably use to flavor our food anyway. Before I get going, let me tell you a little bit about my background. I was a research assistant at Auburn University in the College of Agriculture, which started me on this journey of growing my own food. And then I had really bad food allergies that were making me sick. At one time, they told me I had Crohn's disease, but it ended up being an allergy to pork. I can't even touch a pig without getting blisters on my skin. So when Charlie developed, we knew he was sensitive to black tea. It gives him migraines. But when he developed fibromyalgia, since I knew about food sensitivities by that time, I started researching herbs and spices and that impact neurological sensations, and entered what's known as the food as medicine community, and I control his pain levels with the use of spices and herbs. At one point, I couldn't touch him, I couldn't hug him, whatever. Now I can slap his butt and he doesn't act like he wants to kill me. So every now and then I cook a really good Pakistani curried goat for him, and he complains about it being spicy, but he doesn't complain about the fibro for a few days. So that was early on in my life in my 20s, and then fast forward to a learning process of learning how to cook things from India and Asia and the Middle East. And then I had a horse that a neighbor shot, and she went into a panic and fell and broke her pelvis. And I discovered she'd get very arthritic. And I discovered Devil's Claw, which they gave to horses off the track that had arthritis. And I tried Devil's Claw with her, which comes from the roots of a bush grown, I think it's South Africa. And you can get it now in human form. But when I would feed Rose this supplement, Devil's Claw supplement, in her feed, she would run and buck, and she was her old self again. So when I broke my back and got pretty stiff and painful, I looked for it in a human form and found it in a capsule, and learned that if I take that when I've got really bad back pain, it addresses it, but it's got side effects. And I'm not going to go into Devil's Claw tonight. We're going to do the more common herbs, but this is my first ever herb book, which at the time I thought was the cat's meow. Can you see it? Complete book of herbs. It has nice pictures, which makes it and other herbal encyclopedias attractive, but it doesn't go into how it may impact when used with certain medications or certain allergies. So anyone who shows you an encyclopedia, just know that it's not really encyclopedic. Pictures are nice. Like always, I've got a cheat sheet over here and what I need to talk about. So just before the pandemic struck, I decided to further my education with herbal medicine, and I enrolled in a online herbal medicine course with the Chestnut School of Herbal Medicine, and they're out of North Carolina. And Juliet, who runs it, is extremely articulate. She's a beautiful writer. The videos with the modules are very informative and well done. She gives recipes. She's got, when I took it, there were 17 modules, and you must take your exams and pass your exams with a certain score in order to be certified. So I was able to take that. They estimate it takes 2.5 years to complete. Hey, Ronnie. Welcome, Ronnie Weaver. It takes 2.5 years to complete that herbal immersion course. If you print out the manual you get with it, it's like a 700 or 800 page manual. That's a great reference tool. And then you're on an email list, and every update to the program, you have access to those modules, and they're always expanding the program. Luckily, I was already teaching gardening, and I knew the basics, the botanical basics. And I just took all those tests and aced them, and then got into the nitty gritty. And one of the things Juliet and anyone worth their salt that is an herbalist will tell you is you've got to know how to do your research when approaching the use of an herb medicinally. You can get into trouble if you have an allergy, or if you react to a certain plant, or if you take too much. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight is, when you have someone who introduces you to an herb and they're marketing the herb like, oh, put this in your herbal apothecary, and all they say is do your research. Well, how many in here, just curious, I'm curious, looking at the chat, how many in here knows how to do deep dive research and to look up? What do you look up when you, how much time do you spend looking for medicinal properties to an herb? Who in here is going to be brave and say what you do? What is your process? And then we'll talk about process. I feel like I need to play the Jeopardy music at this point. Deer Corner and Charlie, you're really having a good time talking bees. Say, while I'm waiting for y'all to jump in and be brave, let me make this window a little smaller. Oh, I don't want to go that small. You look up info, Ronnie. How do you look up your info? Where do you go? And then ponder on it. How do you look it up, Ronnie? What types of terms do you use? And what search engine do you use? While Ronnie's telling us, We're going to talk about Google, the National Institute of Health, NIH, and WebMD. So I told you I get certified in herbal medicine. I don't prescribe. I'm not a doctor. I'll tell you what I use, which herb for. But I also spent some time writing for the NDIR, National Naturopathic Doctors website, where I researched university and medical research papers on the use of herbs and the new discoveries, and wrote articles for that website for about 2 years. So that's deep diving when you're looking at international research papers, I think. When you're looking at PLOS and the NIH and some of these research universities. Ronnie says she doesn't use it because she's still not sure. Okay, so we're going to look at Google, the NIH, and WebMD as sources for you to ask questions. Let's talk about side effects. With pharmaceuticals, when you have a side effect that is listed on the bottle or in the pamphlet that you get when you're prescribed a pharmaceutical, please know that whatever medication you're taking, what you're experiencing is not a side effect, but your body's reaction to that chemical. With herbal remedies, you can have negative impacts on your body if you are taking certain pharmaceuticals or are sensitive to the plant that the herbal medicine is made from. Okay, so Ronnie just said, I look up the name of the herb. No, don't go to a specific herb. I'm just a layperson and read what pops up. You get confused because sometimes different sites have different information. Exactly, and that's why we're going to look on how to deep dive on this, Ronnie, okay? So before you look at an herb for its medicinal values, or for yourself or for your family, you need to know what your plant sensitivity is, such as, are you allergic to asters, Asteraceae? So if you get hay fever or seasonal allergies when the Asteraceae are blooming, then herbs from the aster family are not going to be for you, okay? You also need to look at what medications you're on. It might help to have a list on your desk when you're doing your research on what kind of medications, pharmaceutical medications you have. What is the name of them? Not the generic name, but the chemical name. And then you need to look at what your underlying health issues are. Am I confusing anybody yet, or is that clear? So when people have a reaction to an herb, it's usually a physical reaction rather than toxicity of the plant being consumed. And that doesn't mean that there aren't herbs that can be dangerous, such as wild lettuce. Now, you see a lot of people talking about make a tincture of wild lettuce, it'll take care of your pain. Well, it's actually an opioid, or related to an opioid, a reaction in your body the same way. So if you can't take, name an opioid, Charlie. I'm having a senior moment. Y'all help. Someone jump in. What is one of the opioids that got all the doctors in trouble recently? Anyway, if you're taking one of those, wild lettuce is going to have hydrocodone. Exactly, David. Oxycodone. Right. So if you have a reaction, a negative and adverse reaction to those, you're not going to want to do wild lettuce. And the toxicity of wild lettuce is dangerous too. You can take too much very easily, because in a pill form, when you get the pharmaceuticals, it's measured out for you. But if you're a novice, you're just using an eyedropper, how do you know you're getting too much? And because wild lettuce has several things it does to you. It'll cause sweating, fast heartbeat, pupil dilation, dizziness, ringing in your ears, vision changes. It can sedate you, make it difficult to breathe, and it can kill you. So those of you with tinctures of wild lettuce you need to start do a deep dive like you're going to learn how to do tonight, and look at and see, is it really something you want to use? I don't want to lose any of you as part of my audience, my brothers and sisters. So let's focus on common herbs that you have in your pantry. But before we do that, let me show you. I've got an extensive library. My husband and I are book nerds. We don't have enough room for all the books we have. We've got them in boxes in the garage and everything. But since I began my business, which is called Heirloom Herbs and Edible Flowers, and we started this YouTube channel, we tend to keep our gardening books within reach. So we have jewels such as herbs for common ailments. And I grow herbs for, our problems, not everyone's problems, but ours, because we address our own. And this is me, stress and anxiety. I need all the help I can get getting rid of my stress and anxiety. It's a holdover for working that high stress job as a journalist. I like to look to the wisdom of our ancestors. And I couldn't find this book. I had it next to the couch to read it. But it's chock full of remedies and history. African American Slave Medicine by Herbert Covey. I don't know how well that's coming across on the camera. It's kind of pricey on Amazon. But if you like historical pieces and would like to know what the African Americans did when they were held under slavery, they came with all sorts of knowledge from Africa and didn't have access to medical help like we white folk did. So they continued their herbalism here. Got a book here on plant medicine. The Family Herbal out of Germany. A lot of the European herbs that we brought here to the New World. Healing Spices. And I'm not going to go into this, but this is a very term-centered book. It's the herbal antibiotics that once you've been doing your research, you'll get used to some of the terminology and you'll be able to use a book like this. It's kind of technical. I just talked to you about interactions, herbal interactions, and this is a really good book to have on hand. It's the AZ Guide to Drug Herb Vitamin Interactions. And yes, your supplements can, let's see, there you go. Supplements can interact with your pharmaceuticals. Is your head spinning yet? So there's 3 books I'm just going to one is a really good book. And for those of you who are women, this jewel addresses the needs of women and women's bodies with the herbs. But tonight we're going to work on, let's see. One of the things that you need to be aware of is how much is too much of any of the herbs you're going to be taking medicinally. And most practicing herbalists will add caveats to their medical suggestions that include a warning for pregnant or nursing mothers. Just not enough research has been done on the impact of herbal remedies on pregnant and nursing mothers, because a lot of the things that you eat or ingest come through your breast milk, and it may not be good for your babies. Um, if you're picking your herbs or harvesting your herbs, know that most people will use fresh herbs when we make our medicines, but the dried herbs, and they have to be high quality. Okay. Um, the fresh herbs are used in remedies, but dried herbs, if dried properly and stored properly, are used for making salves and oils and medicines. Um, and when you make the salves and the oils, you want to use the dried herb instead of the fresh herb, because you don't want the water of the fresh herb uh, having your oil, your carrier oil, go bad. Um, dried herbs also are more concentrated with their medicinal properties than the fresh herbs, and make a more potent recipe medicine. So use fresh when possible. Uh, Dry your herbs. Don't allow them to sit out where they get dust on them, but put them in a basket or in a dehydrator on a very low heat so you don't dehydrate the volatile oils out of them, and store them in an airtight glass container. You can also freeze your fresh herbs if you know your family is prone to certain ailments. You can grind them up, add just a little bit of water, and put them in ice trays and freeze them into ice cubes, and then crack your ice tray into a plastic Ziploc and keep those frozen in the freezer. So for research purposes, one thing that we absolutely must do is learn your botanical or your Latin names for your herb. And as we go through these, you'll see why, because there are colloquial or local names for herbs that are similar, but it's not really the herb you think you're talking about. So if you were to say marigold, use marigold. Well, there are several kinds of marigold. There are calendula or calendula, but it's said calendula, that is used in salves. It's a totally different plant from the marigold. So the person I like to turn to, and if you want to get her book, and no, I'm not getting a commission for any of this, one of the best herbalists, is an internationally known herbalist, is Rosemary Gladstar. And I'll be reading from this tonight. She not only gives you the name of the herb and the botanical name, but recipes and how to use it and precautions. That's what we're going to go into, Brown. And Rosemary is the person who really invented the modern fire cider. I've got a little story about this. You see this book, Fire Cider? That's Rosemary Gladstar, and it's 101 recipes for fire cider. We'll talk about that in a little bit. I was so impressed with her fire cider that I bought this book for Charlie for Christmas. And when I opened his gifts to me, he had bought me the same book. So we have two of these. I think that's kind of funny. Hey, Brown, I just went through a whole list of books. And you might want to go back and rewatch as I'm holding them up. Charlie, I think, is listing the links to some of these titles where you can find them. I do a lot of buying on Amazon. I know the evil Amazon, but they do have access to things that you don't really find at Barnes & Noble, and they have better prices. Charles, if you want to pick up what I have on the floor and try to look for, he's going to post links to the books for those of you who want. But when you put the link, Charlie, put the title of the book too, so they can see what they're clicking on. And I'm drinking a very healthy beverage. It's Pepsi Zero, right? Yeah. Shake your finger at me. So, everyone's ready to Google? Yeah. Okay. Does everyone know what basil is? You got your Google on? Google the words botanical name. Okay, if you have a browser open, type in botanical name and the word basil. And how many of you discovered Ocimum basilicum? How many of you got Ocimum basilicum as a botanical name? I hope you're making a little list on paper or whatever, because we're going to go back and compare the names of these herbs and you see if they're related or not. But they're all, I've got two things that we call basil that aren't related. Okay, Ronnie knows what basil looks like. What do we associate basil with? Italian food? Salads? It's good on fish. Did you know that it helps fight inflammation in your body? Okay, so now we've got Ocimum basilicum. And then we're going to open up another browser and we're going to type in medicinal benefits of Ocimum basilicum. And it'll pop up very quickly with Google that it's going to help you with headaches, coughs, diarrhea, constipation, warts, worms, and kidney malfunctions. Okay, that's cool. It also has antibacterial properties. It can help you with arthritis, heart disease. So that's interesting, right? But how do you use it? So I open up another browser. How to use Ocimum basilicum medicinally. And then I'm going to say after that NIH to see what kind of medical research has. And what do we get? We get something called Tulsi. That's not basil. So I'm going to Google, how do you use basil as medicine? One of the most common advices you're going to get for this type of Googling is to use it as a tea, to infuse it in water. And most herbal medicinals are infused for at least 15 minutes, some 45 minutes. And that's something through your Googling that you'll have to look up and see. So to use the basil for digestive issues, what you're going to do is chop 2 tablespoons, and pay attention to the amount. Chop 2 tablespoons into boiling water and let that steep for about 5 minutes. You drain it, and then you can use raw honey and sip it slowly to help you with your digestive problems. So, how many of you are Googling along with me? You can use it as a tea that we just discussed as a gargle to take pain out of a sore throat. You can use about 5 basil leaves in boiling water. Let it cool and sip it slowly for your headache, because it has muscle relaxing properties that will help you relax. If you put it into boiling water and let the steam come up, it can help you to breathe. Some migraine sufferers will chew a leaf, but I'm not finding any NIH studies on it. So I'm going to Google NIH basil. Actually, I'm going to use the Latin name, Ocimum. I did find some NIH. Chemical composition of the essential oil from basil, and its in vitro cytotoxicity, how do you say that, John, against human cancer cells. And if you want to get into something technical later, I'll put the link to this study here. Okay. There's a link for you on that research paper I just found. And there are like 4 papers listed talking about Ossicum basilicum essential oil and what it's used for. Here is a comprehensive review of Ossicum basilicum from the Journal of Natural Remedies. Again, these are scientific papers. So those of you who say, yeah, herbal medicine, that's hokey pokey. These are actual scientific medical journals. I'll post this link. So you're saying, well, what did you Google again to get that? I Googled the word NIH. That stands for the National Institute of Health. And then I typed the botanical or scientific name for basil, for our common herb basil, Ocimum basilicum. And I have articles on my screen, potential effects of Ossicum basilicum on health from PubMed, taxonomy of that plant from NCBI, another one from NCBI from the Bio Project. Does basil interact with any medications? Now, the word for that you're going to Google is your scientific name with the word contraindications. I'm going to put that in the chat so you see how that's spelled. Let's hope I spelled that right. Okay, and that is simply meaning that is a reason for a person to not receive a particular treatment, in this case an herbal treatment, because it may be harmful to you. So, Ossicum basilicum contraindication. This usually will bring up WebMD. And what I got was a list of things you can't take if you're taking whole basil. Okay. Here's the WebMD. If you go to WebMD, if you click on that, if you're Googling with me, it'll come up basil uses, side effects, and more. So we're going to look at side effects, the side effect tab. and it tells us basil is likely safe when consumed in food amounts. When taken by mouth as a medicine, basil is possibly unsafe. Huh. Basil herb and basil oil contain estragol. Estragol is a chemical that might increase the risk of getting liver cancer. How interesting is that? I'm going to cut and paste that. Am I losing people? Anybody asleep now? I'm going to have to erase some words here because it's over 200. I got 35 words. I've got to trim. Okay, I'll have to do two posts. I hate that they limit. How's that? Who wants liver cancer? Show of hands. When applied to the skin, basil essential oil is possibly safe in concentrations up to 6% for 12 weeks. Now you pay attention to how long you can use it without side effects. When inhaled as aromatherapy, there isn't enough reliable information to know if basil is safe or what those side effects might be. So that was under side effects on WebMD. Precautions. It's the same warnings. If you're pregnant or breastfeeding, it is likely safe in food amounts, but larger medicinal amounts are possibly unsafe. If you're a laboratory mouse, you're going to get liver cancer. Interactions. Okay. So those of you who use basil and you're thinking about basil as a medicine, if you're on medications for high blood pressure, it interacts with basil. Basil extract might decrease blood pressure in some people. Taking basil extract along with medications used for lowering high blood pressure might cause your blood pressure to go too low. Do not take too much basil if you're taking medications for high blood pressure. It slows blood clotting. Okay, so that's pretty interesting, isn't it? Are you all asleep? I keep watching the numbers go down. I bet our guys are going to sleep. You found it. So what did we Googled the botanical name and we wrote the botanical name down, right? Then we Googled medicinal uses and it gave us the lay uses of it. And then we Googled NIH and the name of the plant, okay? And came up with medical research papers that will take you some time to read. And then we did the name of the plant with the word contraindications. So that's 4 deep dive research terms to use. And we found out that basil in high concentrations, if you're on the medications we mentioned, may not be a good idea for you. Was that interesting to anyone before we move on to the next herb? And that was the first herb suggested in Rosemary Gladstar's book on 9 herbs to grow for your home apothecary. There are over 150 varieties of basil. How interesting is that? So by now you know that basil, the common basil is Ocimum basilicum. Okay? How many of you, when you were Googling, came up with holy basil? I'm going to skip ahead and go down to holy basil because it's one of the herbs I turn to. It's also called Tulsi. And that's Ocimum, which is the same family as the other basil, right? Canuiflorum. Are you all Googling? I just typed it into chat. It's the name of the herb. See what you can find out about it. I'm finding that you should not take Tulsi if you're on anti-clotting medications. Tulsi is also known as holy basil. It comes from India. It can damage your liver, stain your teeth. I'm not worried about that. I drink too much coffee to worry about stained teeth. Can upset your periods. I'm looking at contraindications for it. Tulsi will lower your blood sugar, although this oil is an antioxidant, which is good. I use it for stress, anxiety, my diabetes, my high cholesterol. This claims there's not good scientific research to support those claims, but the Indians and the Ayurvedic medicine that's gone on for centuries can't be wrong as far as I'm concerned. All right. Second herb I'd like everyone to look at is rosemary. Yeah, David, the Tulsi seeds are a little bit harder to germinate than culinary basil. It is a perennial, though, so if you keep it warm through the winter, it will stick with you for at least a few years. There are 4 kinds of Tulsi, so you want to look at each type of Tulsi: Rama, Veda, Krishna, and then there's one more, because each has a slightly different medicinal property. So you can have some fun one night sitting and using these tools that I'm giving you to look at the properties of them. I like the Krishna and the Rama basil, Tulsi basil. I've got them in my greenhouse. And I'm apt to make tea with Tulsi and rose, with a little bit of mint. We'll get to that later. So let's see. The first person to give me the scientific name or the botanical name for rosemary, will get a gift from me in the mail. So who's going to be first to tell me the botanical name for rosemary? We need some theme music, Charlie.
Say again.
We need some theme music while people are Googling. Come on, guys, get your Google on. Botanical name for rosemary. Very good, David. Rosemary has a chapter on Tulsi, following her chapter on regular basil. Okay, that's okay. You're probably rushing to type it in. And David says it's not good for spelling. I don't spell well. That's what editors are for. And then my fingers get confused and type things that aren't supposed to be there. But Wikipedia tends to have scientific names, Charlie, but it's not a reliable source all the time, because just any old Joe Schmo can make entries. Again, we're going to take that scientific name. We're going to then say NIH plus the scientific name to go into the deep research papers on it. And I know there's a bunch on rosemary. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. PubMed has it. NCBI. People are asking, is Salvia rosmarius related to salvia? Yes, it is a salvia. It's in the genus Salvia. So let's see, my notes, my cheat sheet tells us that rosemary, Salvia rosmarinus, is an antimicrobial, it's an anti-inflammatory, an antioxidant, anti-apoptonic, anti-tumorigenic, which means it fights tumors in your body. And that's what you need to look at with the NIH papers. What kind of tumors does it fight? Because, cancer tumors, there are different cancers, aren't all responsive to the same chemicals. It's neuroprotective. It shows, clinical studies have shown it has an impact on mood, learning, memory, pain, anxiety, and sleep. So that's just a quick rundown. And you do your NIH, you do your contraindication. Rosemary essential oil is going to improve brain function, stimulate hair growth, relieve pain, repel certain bugs. So if you rub it on your arms, the mosquitoes won't bother you. It eases stress, increases circulation, may perk you up. Here's a fact that comes from the European heritage, where we didn't bathe for a year. With one bath a year, the medieval Europeans would take. So when you go to get married, there's an English saying that rosemary is for remembrance, because when you go to get married, you take a sprig of rosemary and wipe it through areas that stink. And the antibacterial, antimicrobial will kill those germs and make you smell good. Brides would carry it in their bouquets. It was used when hanging meat, preserving meat, when the meat started to kind of putrefy, they'd rub rosemary oil on the meat to preserve it. And that's how you get so many European meat recipes with rosemary in it. I know you needed to know that. But so let's see. I'm looking at rosemary medicinal. So it sounds good, right? So we're going to look at side effects. Includes blood circulation side effects. Possibly safe for most people when taken as a medicine for up to 4 weeks. So you only get 4 weeks to take it medicinally at a time. Taking large amounts of the oil is likely unsafe, but what's a large amount, right? If you take too much of it and too highly concentrated, it can cause you to vomit. It gives you sun sensitivity and skin redness. It's safe for aromatherapy, according to WebMD. Interactions. Once again, it slows blood clotting. So if you're on an anticoagulant for a heart condition, you don't want to use rosemary as an herbal medication. Aspirin interacts with rosemary. Um, if you take rosemary with your aspirin, it's going to increase your side effects of aspirin. Rosemary may lower blood sugar levels. So if you're diabetic like I am and you take it medicinally, it may lower your sugar, which could be a good thing, could be a bad thing if it causes you to crash. Be watchful with combinations that causes change in the liver. Rosemary might change how quickly the liver breaks down medications. You'll need to go to WebMD to look at this. Again, search under the common name rosemary or under its scientific name, Salvia rosmarinus. I love the smell of rosemary too. I'm not laughing at you, Ronnie. I'm laughing with you, right? But you got it right. Well, officinalis, no. Okay, now we're going to move on to ginger. Get your Google on. Get your Google on. What is the botanical name for ginger? Okay, so Charlie's telling us that Rosmarinus officinalis is the older scientific name. They've reclassified it now due to DNA analysis. Okay, we gained another person watching us. Who's new? Who's new? I'm looking for the botanical name for ginger. Hi, Annie's Kitchen. There she is. No worries, Ronnie. Look up ginger for us. And David got it again. Zingiber officinale. But this time, y'all look at what David typed in. That is the botanical name for ginger. Now, I want you to tell me what type of research the NIH has done on Zingiber officinale. Yeah, I'm like, it's all a learning process, Ronnie. So now Google NIH and Zingiber officinale. You see how it's spelled? The David has it. Cut and paste that into your browser. NIH in that word, those words. If you can answer my question, Ronnie, I'll send you a gift. We're waiting on Ronnie. And while we're waiting on Ronnie, let's try to bring Annie up to speed. Annie, we're learning how to deep dive into research on your medicinal herbs. We've already learned some interesting things about basil and who can't have basil. And we've learned rosemary. Now we're looking at ginger. And what we do is and it's really important that you Google the botanical or Latin name of an herb. And that's what you use when you do your searches for medicinal uses and interactions. Yes, Ronnie. Now, in front of Zingiber officinale, type NIH. That's National Institute of Health. Zingiber officinale, and tell me how many research papers come up. I'm going to do the same thing. We should get the same result. Oh, Charlie, no fear posting the link. He's helping us cheat. Ronnie, some of these herbs help you with concentration and memory. The question was, we're going to go to the next level because now you've learned how to look up the botanical name, right? So to be useful, let's use that new knowledge to look at the scientific medical research papers done by the National Institute of Health. So in your browser, you type NIH plus the botanical name, and just type in a couple of research names, maybe research names, and I'll send you a gift. I see 3 things on my screen. This research from 2020. Just scroll through your Google and give me a couple of research people's names. I can hear people typing. Okay, you're actually in NIH. What's the study you're looking at, Ronnie? No, you found a paper. That's good. Have we lost you? You read your research? Okay, Ronnie, now go over to open another browser and type the botanical name and then WebMD and give us one contraindication of ginger. You look under the interactions tab in WebMD. But while Ronnie is going to tell us what type of conditions you need to be cautious in taking the ginger with, I am going to give you the medicinal benefits of ginger. And we all know that it's a warming herb, right? And it's used a lot in Jamaica. It kind of controls the rate of digestion, and how fast your food leaves your stomach. It encourages digestion or complete digestion, and it can treat morning sickness, inflammation in your joints. I use it with my husband's fibromyalgia. It lowers blood sugar. It can help you treat menstrual pain. It lowers your cholesterol. It protects against Alzheimer's, as can turmeric. In fact, there are scientific studies out there that look at the incidence of Alzheimer's in India, where they have turmeric and ginger in almost all that they cook, and they have a very low incidence of Alzheimer's. So the scientists are looking at turmeric's impact on the brain. It also helps you fight infections. Hey, F.R. Humphrey, welcome, welcome, welcome. Yes, arthritis came up. Very good. Ronnie, I'm going to send you a gift. If you send an email to me, my email scrolling at the bottom of the screen, I'll need your mailing address if you want to get a gift from me. Hey, FR. All right, the next herb we're going to try our new skills on is cayenne. Cayenne's botanical name is Capsicum annuum, which is the name of a lot of peppers. So we can, let's Google that, and the first person that can give me a little list of uses of cayenne, what does it do for us medicinally? First person to tell me using your new skills, you can get a gift from me. Could be seeds. Oh, Charlie, you're cheating again.
That's for turmeric, though.
That's for turmeric. That's not. We're doing ginger right now, or cayenne right now, babe. Cayenne pepper. Uses. I'm looking for medicinal uses of cayenne. You know what's really funny is, and I'm not meaning to single you out, Ronnie. You were saying, what was the question again? That there, I grow Godocula, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. It looks a lot like pennywort. It's in the same family, same genus. They grow it in India and they sell it in capsule form. It's supposed to help you with memory, and I have a big tub of it growing in my backyard. And when I give a tour, I'll point it out. I say, this is Godocula, and it's supposed to help you with memory, but I keep forgetting to eat it. Stimulates the GI tract. David won again. F.R. Humphrey. Nerve pain. Very good. And my husband is telling us it originated in French Guiana. Okay, so FR, you're a little bit late to the chat. You may want to back up when you get time. Nausea, very good. And let's look at, there's two things we look at is NIH research to deep dive into the medical research that's actually been done on cayenne. But a quick go-to to find out if you can use it, if you're one of those people who cannot use it, which would be type in the words WebMD and the word cayenne. Yeah, the capsaicin doesn't work on you, Ronnie. It does on me. So while we're looking for contraindications of cayenne, I am going to talk a little bit about what I've got in my cheat sheet here. The pods have been used for treatment of gastritis, arthritis, toothache, musculoskeletal, and neuropathic pain that you can get, capsaicin in, which is the derivative of it, in ointment form for sore muscles. Chronic indigestion, which may surprise you if you think hot peppers give you indigestion. This actually helps fight indigestion. And it also helps with microbial infections. So that's 4 of the 9 herbs that we're going to talk about that are common that everyone seems to know about or have in their pantry. Bleeding disorders. Very good. So Fr. Humphrey, you know the drill. Send me an email and I'll send you a gift. The email scrolling on the bottom of the screen. Next one, we're moving on to cinnamon. You know what? I forgot to look up both types of cinnamon. There's a cassia cinnamon and a Ceylon cinnamon. Ceylon cinnamon is lighter in color than cassia cinnamon. The cassia cinnamon typically comes from Indonesia and China. But medicinally, the Ceylon cinnamon is what you want to use to lower your blood sugar. So let's look up the botanical name for Ceylon cinnamon. And Ceylon is spelled Ceylon. So the oils found in Ceylon cinnamon will help us reduce spasms, reduce gas, and fight bacteria and fungi. But it's powerful in helping you lower your blood sugar if you've got a tendency for high blood sugar with your diabetes. Not all diabetics have chronic highs. Some people have chronic lows, and I'm one of those people that my sugar tends to run too high. So cinnamon tea, the Ceylon cinnamon tea, which you can find in Indian grocery stores, is good to use medicinally, and it tastes good. It's also a warming herb. So you mix that with ginger and a little bit of tulsi, and you've got a really beneficial tea or infusion. Bleeding disorders, high blood pressure. And that's right, aspirin interacts with capsaicin. Good for you, Ronnie. That's right, David. Cinnamomum verum. Antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, anti-diabetic, antimicrobial, anti-cancer, lipid lowering, and cardiovascular disease lowering compound. It also can help neurological disorders such as Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. So if we're curious on anti-cancer properties, let's type in cinnamon verum cancer treatment. All right. The Euromed Foundation Center is saying that this particular type of cinnamon is being studied for treatment in breast cancer. How's that for interesting? That came from Euromed. Who wants to look up interactions, contraindications of Cinnamomum verum? Cinnamomum verum. I'll type that in because it's kind of scrolled off the screen. Yes, that's right, Ronnie. We've moved on to cinnamon. Remember, Ceylon, Ceylon, is the one that's got the best medicinal properties. So y'all Google what I just typed into the chat. Cinnamomum verum, contraindications, meaning what is it going to interact with that you may be taking. Some of the contraindications can be kind of scary. I'm not even going to try to say these chemical names. Blood clotting, blood thinning. So that sounds like heart patients, right? There's a list of things it interacts with that you may not want to take. If you take any of these drugs, you may not want to take the cinnamon oil as a medication. Okay, moving on to a very popular herb, garlic. Miss F.R. Humphrey, could you please give us the botanical name from Allium sativum? And then just one or two things that it does for us medicinally. If you can do that, I'll send you a gift. You're already getting a gift for the nerve pain answer, but let's see what you can do with that. Everyone else is just way too quiet. I know there are other people in here that are Googling away. Do you have Deer Corner out there doing the bee thing, Charlie? Doing bee research? Or did he leave?
No. Do not know.
You know how to check?
No.
You type in the @ symbol and then the name of the chatter. And if he's there, it'll come up. If he's not, it won't come up with a drop-down box. So FR, are you looking for the botanical name for garlic? And while she's doing that, I'm going to speed up a little bit because I think we've got some people who have fallen asleep and then we've lost a couple of chatters. Now we're back having them. All right, let's see. Ronnie, look up thyme, THYME. What is the botanical name? And tell me what it does for us. Yes, I'm giving you an assignment. And David, could you look up turmeric, botanical name, and tell us what it does for us? Not what its contraindications are, but what it does for us. And I'm going to test my husband. Charlie, tell me about the contraindications of turmeric, please.
No, did I lose the internet?
I hope not. Did the internet go down? No, it looks like I'm still online. Allium sativum. Very good. My butt's getting tired, so we're going to have to wrap this up soon. There are like 200 kinds of allium. That's the onion family. Very good, David. Curcuma longa. It's an amazing herb. Tell us what it does for us. Not the contraindications, but what it does for us. David's giving us the botanical name of turmeric, and my husband, Reflect on Light, is going to tell us its contraindications. In other words, who shouldn't overload on turmeric. So garlic, what is it doing for us? It lowers your risk of cancer. It improves your memory. It improves brain function. No, that's garden sage. What am I doing? Garlic. It's an antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, and has lipid-lowering properties. It has an impact on many human conditions such as cancer, cardiovascular, metabolic disorders, blood pressure, and diabetes. That's good news because, man, do I love garlic. Thyme's botanical name is Thymus vulgaris. Very good. Very good, David. Lowers cholesterol. That's right. F.R. Humphrey. Reduces arthritic pain. Yes, and also if you have fibromyalgia. Anything that's inflammation based, the ginger and the turmeric will address that, and to some extent garlic as well. I have more than one inflammation based disease. I've got the diabetes, I've got gout, and because of a tick bite, I've got something called alpha-gal. I'll type that in if y'all want to look at alpha-gal. Makes you allergic to red meat. It blisters my gums. I can't chew anything for a while. Okay, so Charlie is telling us as far as turmeric goes, which is known as curcumin, if you're taking aspirin, ibuprofen, Advil, Motrin, or acetaminophen, turmeric may lessen the effects of these medications. But it also does what they're supposed to be doing for you. So do you want to do it naturally or do you want to do chemically? Turmeric can slow your blood clotting and increase the risk of bruising and bleeding in people with bleeding disorders. So if you have a bleeding disorder, don't take turmeric as a medication. It can limit iron absorption. The herb I skipped over was garden sage, which actually is an antiviral. I like to tell people when I'm giving garden tours and we go by this huge garden sage plant that I have, that when I start feeling, the tickle in my throat or something coming on, I might pick 3 or 4 leaves of the garden sage and steep them for 10 minutes in hot water. And it tastes really good. And it for some reason, my immune system kicks in and whatever I'm fighting is gone the next day. But the garden sage is called Salvia officinalis. So the first person that can tell us what other type of salvia we've talked about tonight, something else that's in the salvia family, they'll get a gift. What other kind of salvia did we talk about? There's that Jeopardy music again. Everyone have that playing in their head. Very good, Ronnie. Estrogens in the body may interact with thyme. In what way? Rosemary. That's right, David. I'm going to have to start sending David his gifts in a big box. Very good, FR. Very good. Don't forget to send me your mailing address so I can send you special stuff. Okay, the use of statins with turmeric. Turmeric breaks down and it could increase the statin blood levels. This might lead to increased adverse effects, including myopathy. That ain't good. How many of us are on statins for our cholesterol? I hope you all are finding this interesting. Please let me know if this has been interesting and helpful. And you feel like I've given you a few tools that you can really deep dive into finding out about herbs that you might want to take for medications. Just don't say, oh, I've got that problem, I'm going to take this herb. Now you know how to look at scientific papers, as well as WebMD breaks it down into lay language for you to see if you really are a candidate for it. So I'm going to speed up a little bit here, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about my go-tos. My problems are the inflammatory diseases that I listed, and anxiety. So I tend to look for things that kind of help me chill, right? And I know the ganja would help me do that, but that's not legal in Georgia yet. So I have to rely on things like lavender. Lavender is a scientific name is lavandula. And I did a cooking video recently, cooking with lavender on duck. It's one of those things that is a sedative, and it kind of helps you chill out. The whole house smelled so good cooking with it. And then I added my cranberry, which is an anti-inflammatory, my honey fermented cranberry. So honey is antibacterial. The cranberry helps you with UTI problems and inflammation in your urinary tract. The cinnamon in the fermented cranberry does what we were talking about a few minutes ago with cinnamon. So I combine that on the duck, and it's just delicious, and it's addressing all my problems. And yes, I tend to go to sleep after eating lavender. Look for more lavender recipes from me, by the way. Thank you, F.R. Humphrey. Mahia, hello. Medications used for glaucoma, Alzheimer's disease may interact with time. How's that for a piece of good information? Thank you so much, Ronnie. I think I got Ronnie into this. She's going to become an expert. I use rose. Now, there's a difference between Rosa rubiginosa and Rosa rugosa. The Rosa rugosa are the rose hips that are high in vitamin C, and they grow on a bush that's got thorns that you feel like you're dead. If you bump into it, it really rips you open. But the Rosa rubiginosa, or rubiginosa, rubiginosa, is your common rose bush. I make teas with it. I make tinctures, vinegars, simple syrups, and women like rose. It's got things in it that benefit a woman's body, which, again, if you're a woman and you're watching tonight, this book would help you figure out what addresses your female problems. And if you're a fella and you're listening to this tonight, it might be a good book to get for your wife if she's into gardening and you're into gardening. Maybe Charlie can put the put a link up on Amazon to get this. It's by J.J. Purcell. Here you go, Charlie, if you want to look for a link for that book. I think it's kind of pricey. Another go-to I have is when we moved here to Georgia, I started getting really, really horrid. I don't get the flu usually. I usually get what's it called, bronchitis, which is just as life-threatening as the flu. And the doctor, one of the reasons I got so fat is he put me on prednisone. And I don't know why I didn't rely on this herb, but since I've been relying on it, I haven't really gotten that sick with my bronchitis. This is called horehound. So it's an herb that the Europeans brought to the Americas when we came in and invaded here. It is a very, very powerful expectorant. It tastes terrible. It tastes terrible. But I would like for you guys, just using the skills that you've gained tonight, let's look at horehound. I'm typing it into the chat, and there is white horehound and black horehound. I grow the white. It's a perennial. You can leave it in a pot as long as you remember to water it every now and then. It can freeze in the winter and come back in the spring in most zones. Let's see. Who can tell me what the botanical name of horehound is? And I'm going to ask David. David, tell us what it does. What's the medicinal benefits from white horehound? So somebody else needs to tell me the botanical name. David's going to tell us the medical benefits, and then I'm going to tell you while he's looking that up. This is probably why I went ahead and let the doctor give me prednisone. The second year I had the bronchitis. The first year I got the bronchitis, I made tea from this, and usually for tea, I use about 5 leaves. That's at top of that rosette. And I pour boiling water on it for 15 minutes, let it steep, and add lots of lemon and lots of honey, because this is the worst tasting stuff you'll ever put in your mouth. In fact, my doctor tried it with his mom, and it helped her expel mucus. And I told him it's not a sipping tea at all. It's yucky. And next time I went to see him, he goes, "You're right, that stuff tastes terrible," which I thought was funny. So you can find this in candies, tinctures, tonics, and none of them taste good, I hate to tell you. But it's an expectorant, and if I've got a lot of phlegm on my chest, that green bubbly stuff, and you just can't get it out of your lungs, I'll make this 3 nights in a row and drink it right before bedtime, and in the morning, very good, F.R. Humphrey, she got it. Marriott Fulgate, Ronnie. I'll hang over the edge of the bed and cough, and that, we used to call those loogies when I was a kid. They would come up. But I took so much of it. You don't want to take it more than 3 or 4 nights, because I had already been through menopause, and I drank this every night for like 2 weeks. I mean, my chest congestion was really bad. So I just overloaded on the horehound, and all of a sudden I started menstruating, and they sent me in for D&C. They were convinced I had uterine cancer or whatever. And my doctor came out and he says, "You taking any supplements?" And I told him about the horehound tea. And he went and researched and came back, and he says, "Well, that horehound's amazing. It snapped me out of menopause and back into a regular cycle." Now, the regular cycle only lasted 3 months, but that's some powerful stuff. And it has been used to stimulate miscarriages. So do not use this if you're pregnant. It's another one of those herbs that you don't want to use if you're pregnant. TB, bronchitis, asthma, that's what David's grandpa used it. It also fights some sorts of cancer. I'm not going to Google it right now because you all have the skills now. You can look up, you can type in Maribbium vulgare and cancer and see what kind of cancer it'll address. It helps with diabetes, bloat, gas, diarrhea, constipation. Blah. That's cool, Ronnie. That's cool. Yeah, you really need a laptop. The phone's not, it limits what you can do. So we've talked about tulsi, rose, lavender, horehound. Uh, I told you about the gotu be helping with memory and my big tub, and I keep forgetting to eat it. Um, Now, very quickly, before we sign off for the night, I want to talk about fire cider. Fire cider all of a sudden is starting to become the rage as more and more people discover herbal medicine. And I have to tell you, since we've been making fire cider, since I finished my certification in herbal medicine, it's one of the things they require that we learn to make. And I did, was it the no cook fire cider with pomegranate um, in it, and I can't put citrus. Um, because Charlie can't have citrus. So I have to put something else in it with a high vitamin C, such as rose hips. But fire cider is an herbal tonic that is based with apple cider vinegar. Okay. And it increases your immunity. It really, really does. It raises your body temperature, kicks your metabolism into gear. It helps you with digestion, warms you up on a cold day. But most fire ciders are going to have some essential ingredients, and that is horseradish, ginger, garlic, onions, cayenne pepper, and apple cider vinegar. So how many of those ingredients have we spoken about tonight? Okay, so if you want to look up what all this is doing for your body, horseradish, ginger, garlic, onions, hot pepper dissolved in apple cider vinegar. Again, common word, looking for the botanical name, then you search under the botanical name, not the common name. And you're looking for NIH papers. You're looking for contraindications. Go to WebMD. Pay very close attention to the contraindications, please. These are all very good herbs to have in your home apothecary if you can take them. Now, in the background photo, this is opposite. Let's see. Am I pointing to the right thing? Yeah. You see those pink flowers? That's echinacea, and that's an herb I haven't spoken about. And another good herb is sambuca, which is elderberry. But you need to look the echinacea, and I'll type how to spell that. Sambuca negra. How do you spell negra?
N-I-G-R-A.
N-I-G-R-A.
G-R-A. I think.
Okay. So once we log off here tonight, I want y'all to look at echinacea and sambuca negra, which is the elderberry. The sambuca is the elderberry. A lot of people are taking elderberry gummies, elderberry syrup. A lot of people will buy echinacea in tea form at this time of year. You can get it at Walmart. And these are powerful immune boosting herbs that have some serious implications if you take them for too long. So I'm going to say what other people are saying, do your research, but now you know when I say do your research, that you're going to deep dive that research and look for indications for both echinacea and sambuca, because you can overdo it and cause adverse effects to your immune system. So you need to know when to stop, how much to take, for how long. So I want to thank you guys for joining me tonight, and I hope that I gave you things to think about. I hope I gave you some new skills and opened up curiosity in your mind. Again, if you would like to become certified in herbal medicine, my certification came from the Chestnut School. It does not certify you at a level where you can actually practice herbalism, but it gives you a foundation of knowledge to be able to address these things in your life and for you and your family. They even have a module on how to start an herbal business. Uh, and the go-to for some of these things are Rosemary Gladstar. If you Google just her name, Rosemary, like the herb, Gladstar, Gladstar. She has several books out there. They're all excellent. This is a beginner's guide to herbal medicine. Then she's got the book on fire cider. She literally wrote the book on fire cider. She had to actually fight a firm who tried to patent the word fire cider, which has been around since before rosemary. The old Foxfire folklore books used to talk about fire cider. But those are two very good books to have, especially if you're starting out. Ronnie, what did you put in your fire cider? She's made 3 batches. And while you type in your answer to that, I have to tell you, Charlie decided he was going to make it double strength with the horseradish. I can't handle it. But the way we do our fire cider, because it is very strong, is you take a little bit of apple juice, put an eyedropper of fire cider in it, and toss it down. Every day throughout the winter, you'll stay healthy. And thank you, Cleveland. So you enjoyed it. Yes, Ronnie, I do have my certification. And again, I'm not a doctor. I don't practice medicine. I just grow the things that address my inflammation and anxiety problems and my husband's fibromyalgia. And I'm right now I'm researching and learning about herbs and to address, he gets Meniere's disease and headaches. So I'm learning about the herbs to take in what form, whether it's tincture, dried, fresh, you tincture, put it in oil. How are we going to use these herbs? That's the subject of another video if you want it. I'm still waiting to see Ronnie's reply to what kind of fire cider that she's made. Does anyone want me to just randomly look up a recipe to give you what's in it? All I need is a yes. If I don't get a yes the next minute or two, I'm going to say good night. Thank you, Cleveland. I'm glad you thought it was great. I hope I wasn't boring or talked too fast or confused you. Random recipe for fire cider. Spice rack fire cider. We've got horseradish, ground ginger, minced onion, dried rosemary, ground turmeric, garlic powder, black peppercorn. So that's another topic. What does black pepper do for your digestion and your absorption of nutrients? Astragalus, dried orange peel, which means we might have to leave that out for Charlie. Anise pods, bird's eye chilies, which I grow, and 4 cups raw apple cider vinegar. Mineral-rich vinegar, stinging nettles. I will not grow stinging nettles. They hurt for days if you don't wear protection while you pick them, but they're really good for you. Chickweed, which comes out in the spring. I did a video early on chickweed. Dandelion leaves, wonderful herb. Rosemary and apple cider vinegar. Okay, so Ronnie used ginger, orange, lemon, onion, jalapeno, garlic, rosemary, and turmeric. No horseradish, Ronnie? So again, if you want to stay healthy, these aren't complicated recipes. If there are herbs in here you didn't grow this year or you need access to, I like to go to Mountain Rose Herbs. I'll type that into the chat. Let's see, mountainroseherbs.com. Wow, site can't be reached. Did they go out of business? Nope, they're here. mountainroseherbs.com. That's a good source for some of these herbs I've been speaking about. Remember, I said they're best fresh unless you're making an oil or a salve. But you can use them dried, which have concentrated amounts of the medicinal values. But you can get them at Mountain Rose Herbs. They're pricey, but you know, it's your health. Hands in the dirt. We're just signing off, baby. But welcome, welcome. Thank you for coming in. Okay, Ronnie, you can usually find it at Mountain Rose. But the horseradish is pretty essential to your fire cider. Hands in the dirt. What you missed is black pepper. Stacy, what you missed was the methods in looking up or deep diving into your research on how it impacts your body, who can have it. If you rewatch the video, I know it's long. It's about 2 hours at this point. But I think people in here will tell you it was worth the 2 hours to learn how to look this stuff up and be safe. Okay, everyone, one last thing before we say goodnight. Because Hands in the Dirt is here, let's type in NIH and black pepper. Pepper nigrum, Nigrum, or Piper nigrum. Let's show off our skills. Piper nigrum is black pepper, like the pepper you put on your food. Piper nigrum benefits. I have started putting black peppercorn on just about all my food, especially my leafy greens, because what it does is it opens your gut up to absorb the nutrients of your food, which might otherwise pass through your body without you being able to absorb them. So the black pepper, just a little, even a teeny little bit, less than what you can even taste, will help your gut absorb nutrients and improves your gut health. It relieves pain. It can reduce your appetite so you don't eat so much. And that's just a crash course on Piper nigrum. Oh yeah, Ronnie, I love cranberry. Have you tried pomegranate? Pomegranate's really good in the fire cider. So Stacy, my husband is Reflect on Light. He's posting links to books I've mentioned and to medical research papers talking about these different things that we've gone through. But if you are curious and you want to learn how to deep dive into herbal remedies, then do watch the replay and pick up those skills. So I'm going to say goodnight. And if there are if you want me to revisit this and we can zero in on 3 or 4 herbs and really explore whether we need to make a tincture out of them, how do we make the tincture? Do we need to do a tea? When to use the tea? When to use the oil? Pick 2 or 3 herbs. Just send me an email or type it in the comment section of this video. Then once I say goodnight, it'll sign off, and I think YouTube takes a couple of hours before it posts it, but then it allows you to comment and you say, hey Lisa, do another video and do it on echinacea, or what are the benefits of the edible flowers, some of the edible flowers you've mentioned. So yes, good night, Stacy. Thank you for stopping by so much. So everyone, thank you for stopping by. Thanks for coming in. And in 2 weeks, we'll do another live. And again, I like your feedback on what you'd like me to talk about now that you know a little bit about my education. But one thing I was thinking of doing is a memorial broadcast sometime between now and the end of the year, because so many of us have lost loved ones, and it would be something where I would look for more participation from you. We can ask us to light a candle or say a prayer, and you can tell us about someone you've lost, and we'll remember them, something positive. If that's something you're interested in, let me know, because I sure have lost a lot of friends recently. I'm sorry you lost your brother. Bye, Ronnie. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So let me know. I got people Googling away. That's so good. All right. Everyone, have a good night. Be well. Do your research, but do your deep dive research. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Until next time. See ya. I got to figure out help with following. I can't get it. Okay. End broadcast. There we go.